Today we are joined by Drew Fortune, YouTuber, over 8 years on YouTube, built a massive community of over 145,000 subscribers. Pleasure to have you on, Drew. How are you, sir?
A while back, I think yeah, like before we'd gotten acquainted, it was like one of my first messages to him. I was like, where the fuck are you from? He got invited over by Health, the band that were supporting Sleep Token on the night. He's the guy who produced Sleep Token's Sundowning and This Place Will Become Your Tomb.
And on that topic then, you have branched, let's just say not too far away from Sleep Token, but you've touched on President, which isn't... let's say for an Irish saying, a kick in the arse away from Sleep Token. It seems to be a similar fan base, very protective, very niche and very gatekeeping. And I did notice that on one of your videos, you didn't give it, one of the songs, you give an honest opinion from yourself, and I tend to agree with one of them, that it's not fantastic. Welcome back to another episode of That Sound Podcast. Today we are joined by Drew Fortune, YouTuber, over 8 years on YouTube, built a massive community of over 145,000 subscribers. Pleasure to have you on, Drew. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much. That's a nice little intro there. I'm feeling the love on that. Appreciate it. Well, it's nice to chat to some Irish lads, you know?
Of course.
I don't have a lot of people in the Irish space that I would communicate with, so it was nice that you reached out, and I was fucking delighted to come on, so I appreciate you having me here, lads.
Oh yeah, man, I've been a big fan of your page for a while, your YouTube channel, and I popped into your Twitch last night. I just give a little
I see comment. Yeah.
But man, no, you're absolutely smashing it. I love what you do. I love your take on stuff, and it's a platform to build towards. But yeah, Luke, I'm sure you've looked at Drew's stuff as well, like where did the idea come from, Drew? Or was it a passion that you always had? Or was it like something that maybe started off YouTube where you might have been doing some kind of, writing and then it kind of morphed into YouTube? Or how did it start?
Yeah, it's not something I think about too often, but, whenever I get in situations where I'm queued up to go on a podcast or anything like that, or, something like this, I have to ask myself, I'm like, I think I'm a content creator before I'm like a metalhead, if that makes sense. Like I got into metal via YouTube and content creation. So my story with YouTube, geez, it's like you mentioned, 8 years. It's crazy to think that I'm closer to the 10-year mark than the 5-year mark now at this point. It's a bit mad. But I started back in college when I was about maybe 19. No, sorry, that wouldn't make sense. The maths does not add up there at all. Jesus, I most certainly didn't do maths in college anyway. You can see that, but I would have been 20, and okay. I would have started. I just got a lot of inspiration from a lot of the shite that I was watching at the time. I couldn't even tell you what it was. I've always had a love for cameras and that kind of thing, and I've always loved music, but I just didn't really know how to like manifest that into anything. And I was always quite driven to just do something. I kind of knew from early on that I didn't want to be in a kind of office job scenario. Now I did that for years, don't get me wrong, it's not downplaying it, but I just kind of knew deep down, I was like, well, I'd like to start something and have a bit of a head start over a lot of people that maybe aren't doing that kind of thing. So I got into YouTube by literally just process of elimination, really. It was like, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. So I started off doing like kind of college vlogs, like day in the life stuff of like just nonsense, like shit that no one really gave a fuck about, but the odd video might do well. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of just like when you're starting off, like we were kind of discussing before we went live, kind of like finding avenues that do well and providing that you actually enjoy what you're doing. Kind of like, explore that a little bit more because people are resonating with it then. And then you get a bit of a kick out of it because people are resonating with it. And it kind of snowballs from there. So I was doing a few different videos, I was doing vlog style videos. Some were working, some weren't. And it's kind of like this constant process of elimination. So that's why I say I'm a content creator before anything else, like before, like the kind of, I guess, being associated so heavily now with metal. Now that just kind of fell into place as well. And it's something that I was happy to run with. Like it's fucking brilliant. But like put it this way, if metal music wasn't the thing, if that didn't exist, if music didn't exist, I'd be doing something else on YouTube. Like YouTube has been something that has been passion way before like metal music and stuff like that. I've always loved my music, but I think it just kind of, like I was saying, I trial and error with loads of different things. I was doing some vlogs. I was doing like music related stuff to a certain degree. I was going to like festivals like Creamfields and shit over in the UK, doing like videos around that. And then I was watching a lot of reaction channels at the time. I was watching two lads from the US called Lost in Vegas who were doing a lot of they're kind of like doing like hip hop reviews and reactions and stuff. And I was just fascinated by the way they were able to kind of break shit down. And then I was like, okay, reactions are doing pretty well on YouTube at the moment. It was like back, right before the pandemic. It was like a massive boom of React channels, and everyone was like checking out music and doing anything in the reaction world. And I jumped on and I was doing like hip hop stuff. And, in hindsight, I do kind of regret it. Doing a lot of I built a massive audience from kind of shit that no longer applies to my channel. So for example, like a lot of my subscribers are I quote unquote dead subscribers in a sense, because I would have built a massive number of people that were watching my channel for like, I was checking out like hip hop artists, pop music artists, like some, popular Asian. I was just, again, I was trying the same kind of logic that I was talking about within college, where I was trying everything.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, I was picking up a lot of subscribers, and it was growing, and it was really growing. But, in hindsight now, if I was to do the whole YouTube thing again, I would really niche down early. I'd find a niche and really hammer it, something that I really enjoy doing, because then you're really just building subscribers that are there for your current content. Because a lot of my subscribers now will like see my video pop up the feed because they've been there for years, and they might just not even like, they'll just scroll past it now because they might have subscribed to me originally for something like an Asian artist that's doing like, whether it be rock music or pop music or whatever it is. So I do kind of regret that side of things, but at the same time, it's that trial and error that kind of got me to the position I'm in today. So I stumbled across metal music and everything specifically. I want to say like maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, because obviously I was doing the React videos, I was doing hip hop, I was going through that. I was doing like other content vlogs and shit along the way. And then I think one of the first videos I would have been sent is I was doing the Metallicas. I was doing some of the more, some of the more legacy bands, we'll call them Metallicas. I wouldn't, not necessarily Slipknot's a legacy band at this point, but I was doing Slipknots. And then I kind of, the one band that really stuck with me that I was like, oh, I'm really fucking with this was actually Tool. That was
nice.
Which is weird because it's like they're not necessarily what you would think of when you think of a gateway band,
Yeah.
But they were kind of my gateway
agree.
band, yeah. So now they do have like, nice hooks in their music where you want to sing along with it and stuff, but they are like a progressive, like psychedelic, trippy band that isn't necessarily the first band you think of when you're like, oh, trying to get someone into metal music. But they were one of the first bands that really clicked with me. And then obviously the comments and stuff just followed up with that. And they're like, okay, he's enjoying Tool. Let's kind of go through the whole Tool discography.
Yeah.
And then it was like, he's obviously enjoying some progressive music. So like, let's get him into some other prog bands. And then I did the Carnivals, fucking Opeth, you name it. I touched on so many different like areas of prog metal, dipped my toes into other worlds. Like I kind of got into deathcore and metalcore and all these kind of more modern leaning genres a little bit later on. But it's funny because I kind of had a backward way of doing the whole metal thing with, checking out some of the more, we'll call it quote unquote, technically advanced bands, stuff that you wouldn't just instantly get into a lot of the time. So yeah, I mean, look, I can fucking yap all day, lads. It's obviously, it's 8 years, so it's hard to confine it all.
Yeah, I kind of going by that there, like you might say that you were finding your feet, but it was a learning curve where you were trying to find your niche. Like you said, you dipped your toes in hip hop and, prog. Just funny when you mentioned the prog rock, like, did you ever say, okay, my niche or my algorithm likes, this age bracket? Do you ever, when you mentioned prog rock, did you ever go back to like the 70s prog? Did you ever go back that far? Or did you, in your mind, as the content creator or YouTuber, did you say, okay, I have to stay in a, 20-year bracket. I can't go too far back? Or did you have that?
No, I hear what you're saying. Like there's, it's like a fine balance of doing what you want to do as a content creator and also,
like you had all playing, yeah.
Yeah, like obviously, like I said, I am a content creator who wants to grow his channel and get views, but I also am a massive fan of music now at this point as well, especially obviously in the rock and metal world. That's all my content. Like that's like, again, I niche down. I kind of like, process of elimination. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Not so much enjoying this. So that goes to the back front. And then it just became like exclusively metal because I was like, oh, fuck, there's a whole world here to explore. I'd known of metal bands. I always go back to my kind of maybe first exposure to some maybe metalcore and some more like hard rock tracks would have been. I was a mad gamer when I was younger, big Call of Duty head. So a lot of the earlier days of me even being exposed to YouTube was watching people put their clips online of them playing Call of Duty, doing their clip montages and shit, and there would always be metal music in the background, and it would be more like a almost like this kind of subconscious absorption of the music without even realizing I'm enjoying it, because I'm so infatuated with the clips and I'm so into the gaming side of things that it's like funny. I look back on now and I'm like, oh man, some of those songs were so sick. It would have been like bands like, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but like Skillet and obviously Chevelle. There's kind of like bands that would have been very popular in that era, and it just kind of went hand in hand with a lot of those clips channels and shit. So yeah, I did a lot of that. But yeah, to go back to your question about like the balance between, I think, being a content creator and doing it for the love of the music, it is something that I've learned to kind of deal with, especially since I've gone full time with doing this over the last 2.5 years or so. You don't want to burn yourself out, because I have all the time in the world now because it's my job. So I could sit here all day and listen to fucking 10, 15 albums a day, but yourself, you can get burnout from just listening to music. I know it sounds like a bit pretentious to be like, oh, it's such a hard job or such a hard life, but no, it's for it to be sustainable. You really have to like lock in and be like, I kind of limit myself to how much I listen to 100%. Stuff, and it's just about kind of like disciplining yourself to not go too far down the route. It kind of ties back into like the views thing. You have to kind of discipline yourself to not just follow the trends too hard. Like, I'm still sticking to what I want to do. There's obviously moments where you can jump on a trend where you may not necessarily love a band, but you're like, okay, it might do good for the channel, and people still want to hear my thoughts on it. Yeah. Like, a lot of the time I'll do bands that I know from experience that I don't necessarily love, but I will go listen to it. I'll do a reaction to it. I'll do a review of it. And I'll kind of like preface that, like, I haven't been a fan of the band in the past, but I'll still try and be objective about it. Mm-hmm. But there is kind of like tipping points. I think I've had a tipping point with a band recently, Thornhill. They're an Australian metalcore band. And I was a big fan of them. I still am. Like, I'm a fan of the band. It's not like this. And that's another thing as well, dealing with like, tastes change over time, and then you have to deal with the fan base when you don't like that anymore, and they feel like you're almost abandoning them, and it's trying to navigate that world. But yeah, Thornhill is a good example of a band that recently I've made the decision to step back a little bit from doing the content, because I felt like I was just beating a dead horse with a lot of the opinions I had, because it was like, I'm starting to just sound like a hater of this band, because I'm saying the same shit over and over again. Yeah. And the comments are starting to be like, oh bro, you're saying the same shit. You're starting to sound fatigued by it. And I'm like, yeah, well look.
Yeah, like, I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's exactly it, man. It's that horrible balance of like trying to remain true to what you're thinking, but also.
Yeah, I sorry to cut across you there.
Oh, go.
I think like where a lot of channels thrive on negativity, which personally I don't like, and you can tell when somebody is just like, okay, you're just being negative for clicks and whatever. But I guess, like you said, you have to just be honest. I've definitely, like, we've done stuff where Luke didn't like and I liked, or I liked.
Yeah, and you have to be honest.
Yeah, you just have to say, look, this is not for me. For me, and I know, kind of jumping the gun here, Sleep Token, I think at the minute is so relevant, and it's all over YouTube. And I know it's a big factor on your channel, Drew, because I've watched a lot of your stuff. Yeah. But I think there's a big divide in the, let's just say, music industry, not just metal, on that band. And I think it's good for, I'm kind of repeating what you just said. I think it's good for everybody to be yourself and to give your own opinion on it, even if you don't like it, but don't shit on it completely, would be my take. But like, for me, I'm like on the fence. I really enjoyed I think the third album for Sleep Token, which just won't come to me, Eden, what is it?
Take Me Back to Eden.
Euclid, I actually had tears running down my face driving.
Beautiful song. I'm
like, oh my god, if anybody sees me. The new album, maybe we should do a review on it. I'm not a big fan of it.
But we probably should do a review on it, because, as I said, it's not really my thing.
Yeah,
I admire the skill and the technicality behind it.
I think the drummer's phenomenal. I think, isn't it 2 his name is, or is it 3?
2 is the drummer, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's unbelievable. It was great to see him feature in the Back to the Beginning. I think he should have had a bigger play in it. I think he got a small role. I think when I seen the drum off in the Back to the Beginning, I'm like, he should have been there.
Yeah, 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 look, I mean, I'd fucking like, again, you're dead right. It's I think people are craving authenticity today, more than anything. There was a massive like surge in reaction channels, like I mentioned when I kind of started, and a lot of them have fallen off. And it does seem to be a lot of the people that are like genuinely there for the music and the love of the actual music itself, not just like following the clicks. Because to be honest, I've had many opportunities with the channel to kind of jump ship and go and do something. Because if we're going to be talking about like revenue and views and shit, metal music isn't exactly the most lucrative, niche to be in terms of what, like, because my channel was an open book when I started it. It was like, I'll try some hip hop, I'll try some of this, and metal was what I actually thoroughly enjoyed. So the content made itself because I was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. This is sick. This is not so good, but like it's still entertaining content and it's new to me. So like the content was just making itself. So as a content creator, I was delighted. But then also I was opening up a whole new avenue in my life that I never really expected to come from YouTube, where it was like, oh shit, now I'm actually like getting involved in a community that I never really had with music before. I've always been massively into music with, EDM, a lot of dance music. I went to a lot of like gigs and stuff when I was younger. Like it was all that kind of rave shit. But there's no like culture in any of these genres. Now,
No.
I mean, there is subcultures within, like there's a lot of like dance subcultures. There was like the whole jump style and like shuffling community that was like a thing for years.
Yeah.
When I was a bit younger, but like metal is like it's such a close knit, and it sounds so cliche and cringe. Now on the flip side of that, we can talk about it, that metalheads do get a great rap for being the nicest people in the world, but on social media, I think they're some of the fucking worst people. I've dealt with both ends of the spectrum.
It is
because anytime I've met someone in person, they've been the nicest people ever, but they are protective, and there is like a gatekeeping thing that can be very nasty.
Hey, it's Gavin from That Sound Podcast. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for listening. It really means the world. This show is a labour of love, but the truth is, it takes a lot to keep it going. Reaching out to guests, recording, editing, it all takes time, and we do it because we care about the music. If you've been enjoying the podcast and want to help us keep it alive, you can support us for just $5 a month over at patreon.com/thatsoundpodcast. For the price of a beer or a cup of coffee once a month, it generally makes a big difference. The show will always be free, but with your help, we can keep building it, episode by episode. Thanks for considering it, and thanks for being a part of this great community.
Such a gatekeeping thing going on there, and I laugh when you're talking about the reactions for Thornhill and people saying to you, Drew, of, oh man, it sounds like you're just fatigued and you're saying the same shit and you're saying it for the sake of saying it. I was thinking, Gavin, about some of our recent videos, the story behind the song ones for them. We're doing the early albums through Metallica, and I'm just sort of going through a story behind each song.
Cool.
And they've been received fairly well, bar a couple of comments where you might get like, I'm sure you weren't even born when Kill 'Em All was released. Do you know, like this sort of thing? Or like Metallica do have other songs also.
You have to take that with a pinch of salt. Like
but for the laugh, Gavin, as we'd say, those people, if we met them at a Metallica gig and told them we ran a podcast, would probably be the soundest, most down to earth people when they're at the gig in regards to talking Metallica. That'd be emphatic altogether. I'm not sure, Drew, if you're familiar with the Craig Reynolds, who is the drummer in Stray from the Path.
Yeah, very familiar with Craig.
And his channel, him on Instagram, he just loves flaming anyone who brings any sort of hate to the comments altogether, and that gets a serious reaction from all.
He's another good lad. He likes to play the game for sure. But it's actually something that I considered doing a video on recently. I was trying to I was trying to figure out how I could make an intro, not even just like a kind of comedic video of like going through, the whole like me reacting to hate comments is such a played out idea. But I was actually thinking of doing some like scripted, like well thought out video of like the kind of the idea that the metal community is, and it wasn't like intended to be like a big expose on like the metal community, because it is such a fucking amazing community. But I think that it's fascinating that like the general consensus at all times is that metal heads are the nicest people on earth, which I agree. When you go to a live gig, the culture that's around it, where like, the whole like the cliched, like if someone falls down, you pick them up, which you don't really get at like these raves and shit. People are just there for themselves.
Anton,
there for the session. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they dance on you. You wouldn't even notice you're fucking ODing on the floor, you know? But the flip side of that, you do see a lot of the negative comments and the really like spiteful weirdness, which is not exclusively a metal thing. I know this is a human condition thing. You know, this is people in general.
Yeah,
I think it would make for something fascinating to kind of go through that and try and like look at the psyche behind it and why there's this kind of
Oh, you're wearing a Metallica t-shirt. Name 5 songs from the band, bro.
Yeah, you could, because you can play off the humorous side of that, where you could kind of lean into it that way. But then I'm sure there's like some surveys or stats you could go through and go through the nitty gritty of it, because it's such a. It's not really a touchdown topic.
Why do people think when you're sitting here at a laptop that like there's like a screen that nobody's going to see who you really are, and you expose yourself like some jackass, and you're like. Your profile, like I can see who you are. You're a grown man with
kids and all.
Kids why are you calling me an asshole? You
get all sorts.
You know, just reply with that gif from Happy Gilmore all the time. Your man just going, jackass.
Yeah, but look, it's part.
It's part of part. I would like to ask you something, Drew. Like you touched on content creating, and I think it might answer my question, but when it comes to say how would I call it, theater, let's call it, kind of acting as such for some stuff,
sure.
Did you kind of lean on that, or did you find yourself just, no, I'm going to be 100% authentic, which I think you are in your videos, but maybe at your early videos did you ever kind of play the role?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, I mean, I've no shame in saying it. Like, I mean, I was growing up whilst also being on camera. Like I started my channel when I was just going on 20. So, you know, not to say that I'm the most mature. I'm most certainly not one of the most mature blokes in the world at 28. But, you know, you do go through the phases. And like, you know, I've kept all my videos there. There's the odd video that I've deleted because, funnily enough, I've actually removed a lot of my more popular videos because I don't like having the popular videos there because they're still gaining a lot of traction. And again, to go back to this, the reason why I was talking about having, you know, a different approach to YouTube if I was to start again now, I'd really niche down, because I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. It's actually like technically a fault to the channel to have an audience that's sitting there that's not watching your videos, because every time I post a video now that's metal related, it goes out into the subscription box and say there's 145,000 people that's getting served to, and only fucking 10,000 of those people actually care about it. Even if it's the best video in the world and it's metal related, if 130,000 people decide not to click that because they've no interest in your metal music anymore because they subscribe for something else, YouTube algorithm is going to go, hold on a minute, no one cares about this video, let's just tank it. So there's a method behind why I would change that. It's not because I'm like ashamed of having those videos, because it got me to this point. But unfortunately, getting to this point kind of requires those mistakes to be made along the way. Now, I could start the channel again, but I'm here now, and I'm just like, you own it.
Oh man, you
move on and you improve it. You know,
like Luke. Some of our most successful videos are, we did like small reviews on Slane Castle, some of the shows.
I've seen some of those. I haven't gone delving deep into it now because there's not a lot of the bands that you're covering that I'm like massively up to date on. So it's kind of like I don't even know where to start. But I did watch some of the President stuff. But go on with the Slane stuff.
Yeah, like
the most popular ones were the classics, were the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and they brought a lot of subscribers with them.
Yeah, like there's like 20,000 views on them, and it's like, I think what you're saying right now is like alarm bells going in my head. I'm like, shit. Like we're doing something now that the people that we gather don't care about.
Yeah.
You know, but okay.
There's an authenticity to it though, Gavin, and playing off what you had said, Drew, if you're having fun and you're doing it.
100%. And every day was a learning day. Like we started up, well, I definitely did. And I'll hold my hands up to everybody listening here. I was green as hell. I didn't even know how to turn on CapCut. I didn't even know how, Luke will tell you.
Man hadn't a laptop.
I had a laptop, you know, but I learned how to do, now I'm not saying my editing is nowhere near yours, Drew, but it's a start. And I've messed about with doing the Slane stuff, and I've brought old B-roll in and monologues and stuff like that. And when I did it, I'm like, wow, you know, that was fucking fun, you know, and like that. And then when I looked, I was like 20,000 views. I'm like, whoa, what the hell, you know?
Yeah.
But then as we've morphed, and like you just said, and we were leaning more. The most recent stuff we've done, Luke, is the kind of Thin Lizzy stuff. We had a couple of videos that went well, not 20,000 well, but well. So we said we'll go through every Thin Lizzy album, and like that, they're not getting 20,000 views. They're getting a couple of hundred views. But you know what? It's fun. And if, Luke, as we always said, if 10 people listen to it and they get something out of it, all well and good. And if it's 100,000, even better.
All well and good. Like, it is funny when you get the messages, and not that you're doing it for validation. I find if you're doing it for yourself, more, then that's where it comes from the right place. But we have built a couple of rock solid fans, Gavin, as you know, that interact with a lot of stuff,
of course,
on the regular, that you're like, we didn't know these people. We still don't know them exactly personally.
Yeah, we're going to Europe with some of them next year.
With some of them for the Metallica tour that we're going to meet. You know, that they're very happy to react to certain videos. They love the content. They're always very supportive.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're positive. They don't have any negatives, but sometimes they have constructive criticisms, which is also great too.
Absolutely.
But I think, Drew, you touched on something very cool there, giving a lot of game to people who might want to get into this. When you had said that you tried and tested and dipped your toe in the water when you started the channel with a lot of different things, and that's not exactly where you are right now.
Yeah.
And I think that might be very important for people who are getting into this content creation game. It's very saturated now compared to 8 to 10 years ago. But as you said, if you try and find your niche, you're going to end up progressing. You're going to start to gain some traction.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the main thing, man, you can like, I'm at a point now where I'm doing it for so long where I can like go into the nitty or gritty or details of like the analytics and like, okay, well, how can I improve this small section? Because I've kind of done a lot of the groundwork now where, you know, I like it's my process is so dialed in. It's so like systematic. I kind of have my weekly Twitch stream, which kind of gives me content for the week. And then I can, you know, build time around other things. But the one thing that's consistent with anyone that I know that's done well on YouTube over time is that they just fucking love it, man.
Yeah.
Like it's not people who hyperanalyze about like the smaller details. It's just, okay, what do I want to do today? I want to fucking, you know, after work, I'm excited to go home. The same way as for many years, I was excited to go home and game, or I was excited to go home and go to football training or whatever it is. I found that same desire to do that every single day for no money whatsoever. Just the love of like growing a channel and trying to get better with it. That's why I've, over the years, you want to see, if you go through my videos, man, you'll see, I'd actually love someone to do a count on this, but I wouldn't put it on anyone in the world to have to go through that. But like over the 1,500 videos or whatever I have on my channel, to see how many different camera angles I've had, how many different lighting setups I've had, how many different microphone settings I've had, all of the little changes along the way are not because I think there's anything necessarily wrong at the time. Like I could get away with it, but I've hyper analyzed it and like enjoyed that process of trying to get like that little, like even if it's a 0.5% better every single video or every single month or whatever. And over time that just compounds where you might not notice anything for like a month or so, but you'll see it with my channel. And that's what's kind of funny about like my whole, like even my metal music journey or whatever. Like I've almost done a video for like nearly every fucking metal song I've heard, because with the reactions that I'm doing now, it's actually very hard to not have a camera on for when I'm like watching something or listening to something. Like if a new album comes out, I'll very seldomly just listen to it without having the camera on, especially with something I'm into, because I'm like, what if this is like really sick content and I have lots to say and like I don't want to miss that moment. So it's kind of a really unique journey that I have with metal music specifically, because I've kind of like documented my entire experience with the entire genre from the very early days. And I still get comments to this day, or like people jumping into my Twitch stream and they're like, oh my God, I remember when I started watching you with like the Tool reactions and shit, and they've been watching all the way along.
That's cool.
So
that's cool, man.
It's mad, but I guess to go back to it, it's the main thing is that anyone who's going to do well in it is just, you don't even have to be obsessed. That doesn't even have to be the word. You just have to want to do it. A lot of people are like, who are starting off or I feel like they have their head in the wrong place a little bit, or their priorities are maybe like, instead of trying to just improve and enjoying the process, they're kind of thinking too far down the line of like, oh, well, like I want to be doing this as a job, or I want to be doing it full time, which of course is the dream. I always wanted to be a full-time YouTuber. Like that was a dream of mine when I started. but it wasn't the reason I started. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a part of it, but it wasn't like I'm starting this because I want to earn X amount from this and not have to work a full-time job. It was like, I'm going to be doing this anyway. How the fuck can I make this my job? You know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the kind of fun that starts to spiral. And that's when people getting bored, man, because you can tell when someone's not really that into it anymore, you know, and that's exactly going back to the Thornhill thing as well. It's so obvious when you're not into something. Like if you're not into music and you're trying to kind of play it off of like, you know, you're trying to pretend you're liking it. And I guess that kind of ties into what you were initially asking about, like maybe playing up for it a little bit. I did that for years where it was kind of like, not that you're it's kind of like you have a YouTube personality and your real personality. And I leaned way more into my YouTube personality in the earlier years. Whereas now there's still a YouTube persona. Like I'm a little bit more energetic when I wake up in the morning. I don't go, hey guys, you know, like it's not like that. But
yeah, I get you.
For entertainment purposes and for like, you know, you have to be a little bit more upbeat, and because no one wants to listen to someone. Well, unless you're like a very specific niche or whatever. Some people are into the just kind of like there's almost like an endearment quality or an endearing quality to someone who's very like, hey guys, you know. Yeah. For the most part, no one wants to listen to someone who's just like, hey guys, yeah, you know, just doing this video today. It's boring. Yeah. So to go back to, you have to spruce up it. But I did that definitely. The reaction side of things in the earlier days, especially with the hip hop stuff and that. I was like a quote unquote like one of the cringy react channels that were kind of like just there for like hype. Like I was offering absolutely nothing. Now I'd like to think that over time, with the experience I've had in the music genre and obviously everything I've done with the content creation, that I've developed experience, and just with that, I now have a bit more to say and I can like kind of back up what I'm thinking a little bit more. Whereas before, it was just like I was that guy. It was like, you know, he's full of energy and he's not actually really offering anything of value. He's just being a fucking nut job. But again, young, grown up on the internet. So, but again, look, it's about not fucking hanging on to that for too long either, and just getting on with it and improving, you know.
Drew, do you remember when you started seeing your channel growing? Do you remember like one of your first videos that really kind of, I won't say, viral, that really went, you went like, damn, shit, I'm onto something here?
It's weird because I'm only starting to kind of see that now, which is weird. I've had like, if you look at my channel now, it's funny because my channel's never been doing better in terms of like consistent viewership, but I've definitely had periods of my channel, like even on my analytics, like when I first started out, because I was doing all the trends, like I probably won't ever see the kind of growth that I had in the earlier days again, because I've decided to niche down. But the value of having a smaller audience that is more engaged with everything I do and is willing to, you know, go support on my Patreon or go and join my Discord and be a part of the community. I'd rather have 100 people that are actually invested than the fucking like 10 or 20,000 people that were watching every single video, but no one gave a fuck. They were just like, here's the guy bouncing around. So I've definitely had bigger moments. Like there was videos that I got over 1 million views, which I've since privated because I'm like, they're still getting views. And again, like we mentioned, it's like fucking some K-pop video or something. And I'm like, I don't want those subscribers anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now my channel was like this for ages when I started, not going anywhere. And then I noticed the reaction trends, jumped on that, and it went fucking mental. Right. And then I kind of niched down into the rock and metal stuff, and it just kind of, you know, went very stagnant. Like I was looking at it today and it was like 3 years or so of kind of just like pretty flatlined. I was still growing, but it was no like spikes. And now it's starting to kind of, you know, go up again. So I've kind of had these multiple phases along the way, you know.
And how far into your career on YouTube did you start to push the Patreon?
I started to push the Patreon, Jesus, probably maybe 5 years ago, but that was in the earlier. I've kind of had like two Patreon stints almost. I didn't do it for the first couple of years. When I started to get into the metal stuff, a lot of the stuff was getting copyright claimed and blocked. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put on my Patreon. People can get it there. Then I started to do some early access stuff. But then I just stopped doing Patreon, and I put out a little message on the Patreon. I was like, look, I'm not going to be offering content here anymore. Don't want people paying for it if you're not getting any content. So just go ahead, unsubscribe. And then I realized, I was like, look, I want to actually make this and have a good crack at doing this, my full-time job. So I brought back the Patreon again, like maybe 3-4 years ago. So I probably had a stint of like 1.5 years or so of like not really doing it. And then obviously the first 3 or 4 years of not doing it completely, then about a year on, and then like a year and a half off, and then the last 2 years or so. I don't know if the math adds up there, but it's that kind of a break percentage, so I've been really nailing down the Patreon side of things, because obviously I don't know if you guys have a Patreon, but that's the reason that I was able to kind of leave my full-time job there about 2.5 years ago, because it's a consistent income. I can't rely on anything else, because you might have a good month on YouTube where you get like decent ad revenue, but you can't rely on that being the next, the same the next month, so.
Yeah, it's inconsistent in regards to that, because you're at the mercy of the algorithm for your views.
Exactly.
And plus, that's one other thing. I feel free to say no, but like the copyright issue on YouTube, like when you get monetized, then, and I guess like we were similar too, and starting off, we're way back at the start of the race here, and we're just trying to build subscribers, of course.
Sure, yeah.
But I guess it comes to that point where you just said certain albums will get demonetized, but if you can get your listeners to move over to Patreon, you can do what you want over there,
Yeah, well, I would say that no matter what size you are, I think there should always be an option for a Patreon. I think, if you can look at it obviously as a YouTube channel, but if you do have like aspirations of turning it into a business, and again, there's kind of like negative connotations that come with saying turning it into a business, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like you can still have a massive passion for something, but it also be a business and something that you earn a little bit of extra money because you spend a lot of time doing it. So, you should be compensated for it as far as I'm concerned. So, I think any channel of any size should have a Patreon there. Now, the difference is when channels are still in the early growth stage that are pushing the Patreon too hard, I think that's when they kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit.
Yes.
Again, it's entirely at the discretion of the channel doing it. Who am I to sit here and be like, don't push it too early or don't do this? But I do think I've seen a lot of channels that haven't actually kind of developed a consistent audience yet. And they're already kind of, it's kind of off-putting because a lot of their viewers will be new viewers or not familiar with them. And then all of a sudden they're being bombarded with like, hey, join my Patreon and this and that. And it's like, I want to get involved with you first and get to know you first before you start throwing the Patreon out there. So I would say always have it there, like even link in the description so that if there is someone who happens to want to support you, they have the option. Because if there's someone there that wants to support you, and even if it's just like £5 a month or whatever, and you don't have a Patreon, you've lost potential £5 towards you going full time at some point down the line, So I have it there.
That's what we started off with, Luke, right?
Yeah, that's just, we sort of said early access stuff, and we were doing some giveaways that weren't really going anywhere, so we sort of canned that and just had it as the early releases, and people are just happy to support. It's great that you have people who want that to get a wee bit of exclusive content here and there.
Yeah,
people are loving it.
I think definitely, Luke, and I will fully admit, Drew, I took the idea from you, the reactions, and funny enough, I give a heads up to one of our friends, Luke, Rob Boylan.
Yes.
And I says to Rob, I said, I'm checking out this guy. I got him to subscribe to your channel. I'm like, his lighting is awesome. His backdrop is awesome. I'm like, you know what you should do? Like my big stupid light here, I did buy new lights today, so wait for that.
There we go. There's an upgrade. You see,
they're coming.
Slow improvements.
But Rob did similar to what you have, Drew. He turned off his big light. He got a backlight. He done some reaction videos of Young Blood, and its views have quadrupled.
Yeah,
skyrocketed.
It's meant. It's meant.
It's great to see it.
But I think it's the algorithm. His thumbnails are pretty good as well, and again, we talked about theatrics and doing the impressions, and it all works though. You gotta play the game. You gotta play the game.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the thumbnail game and everything. I enjoy it because it's an arty thing.
Oh man, your thumbnails are unbelievable.
Yeah, like it's I just think YouTube has been like that for fucking years, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Unfortunately, it is. The more saturated it gets, you do have to play the game.
Yes.
And you can go too far with it again, and this is something that funnily we're having a bit of a conversation about at the moment with the Metal Roundup podcast, which is a podcast I'm doing with the two lads.
Just want to chat about
that. Like, I mean, I'll let us go into it in a moment or whatever, but it was just because we're on it, it's a conversation that we're currently having. This is tied into our whole conversation. Well, yeah, but we've very much so built a massive audience with Sleep Token fans. So we're not. We joke about it, saying we're like the Sleep Token Roundup because we got a lot of subscribers from Sleep Token videos. All our best performing videos are like something to do with Sleep Token, which is kind of like that conversation that we've had already there, where we don't want it to be just Sleep Token fans. Now it's great, and we're not going to stop a video from fucking going and getting hundreds of thousands of views. We want that, but we're also, it's like the what's the word? It's like we can see the easy route to get more views is just put like Sleep Token in the title or the thumbnail like every fucking time, but then we'll just alienate anyone else that doesn't want to see Sleep Token. You know what I mean? So it's like we want to be a metal podcast that talks about everything, but the it's like the carrot is always being dangled there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know, your video's not performing right now. Change the title and thumbnail to put like Vessel in it, or like, you know, something Sleep Token related. So we're wrestling with that at the moment, and it's something that channels of all sizes have to deal with, you know, now and again.
Or it could lead to that where you get the burnt out. You're like, oh god, I don't want to talk about this band again or this album.
Yeah, well, we're talking about it because we did the AI thing.
Yes, I enjoyed
the AI video, and
that was brilliant.
Yeah, we specifically said that we weren't using Vessel, and the video hasn't performed as well as we wanted it to. We think it's a great video. Like, we think it's brilliant. Really good. It was a really fun topic. We all fucking had a great laugh. And I think it's just an interesting concept as well, like the idea of it. And we were looking around on YouTube and we couldn't find any videos. I think people are just reluctant to click on anything to do with AI. People are so against it, because Metalburb, the other lad I do the podcast with, he did an AI related video a couple of months back as well. And he even kind of said it before we put the video out, that he was like, I don't know how well this will perform, because he had previous experience, and people just don't really seem to be that interested in the topic specifically, despite it being so topical, for lack of a better word. It's kind of like this contradiction, because it's so relevant right now, but I don't know how much people actually give a fuck about, you know, a full length podcast about it. But yeah, that we were like trying to stop ourselves from like changing the thumbnail to, instead we had Corey Taylor, and then like an AI version of Corey Taylor, and then it was like, well, we could just do Vessel and an AI version of Vessel. And we're like, no, look, just let the video do what it's going to do, and we'll go back to the drawing board. But we just don't want to pigeonhole ourselves too deep into this, like only Sleep Token fans are going to watch our videos, and then we've alienated everyone else, you know.
But yeah, on that topic, the metal roundup, tell us just a quick story of how that happened, or how you three guys came together.
Yeah, not doing myself any favors here with the Sleep Token thing, but we met each other in London for a Sleep Token show. But that is kind of, again, why the whole like meme side of things came in, where we're like the Sleep Token roundup, because we kind of designed it that way ourselves, by like, we met at a show. But yeah, I'd known the lads for a couple of years online. I'd known Metalburb for a couple of years, like I don't know how many years exactly, but we've been talking kind of on and off for a couple of years. I'd done his podcast that he was running at the time. On his personal channel, I got on and chatted just everything about YouTube, because obviously we were both doing very similar content. So it was just someone to kind of, you know, throw some ideas at and record the thing. And then I'd met Steve online a couple of years later, maybe like a year or two, maybe a year later or something, year or two later. And
Steve Irish.
Steve is a mad mix, because I had the exact same question.
I'm like, is he an Irish guy that moved to America when he was younger?
He has had a mad story. I'm not going to speak specifically for him, because I'm sure I'll butcher the backstory, but he's got a lot of Irish family. I think he was born in London, but I think they did loads of traveling when they were younger. Exactly. And they were all over the world. I think his father was working in a job that required him to be everywhere. So he was always moving around the place. Because I did think that as well when I first heard him speak. I was like, this guy sounds Irish, but it's like also not. I don't know where in Ireland he's from. I was trying to figure it out. And then I messaged him a while back. I think I like before we'd gotten acquainted, it was like one of my first messages to him. I was like, where the fuck are you from? You know, he got into it. So yeah, he's an Irishman as well. And but yeah, so we were chatting online, and then the Sleep Token gig was happening. Steve was going to it because he's in London. And then Metalburb was flying over from Canada to go see it, because he got invited over by Health, the band that were supporting Sleep Token on the night. He had interviewed one of their members, Johnny, who we actually had on the Metal Roundup podcast as well. That's a whole different thing. He's a fucking gas man. But he got invited over. And then last minute, I got the opportunity to go to the gig because I hadn't got a ticket for it. And then basically some Irish lad, shout out to Jamie, if you're watching. But Jamie randomly joined my Twitch stream. I think it was like a couple of days before the event, and was like, look, I've got a spare ticket here. My friend can't make it. You wanna come with me? And I'd never met Jamie in my life. I was like, this fella could be some fucking serial killer for all I know. You know what I mean? But I was like, look, Jamie, I'll take you up on the offer. So I flew over, met up with the lads. And we'd never met each other in person. They could have fucking been serial killers as well, for all I knew. You know, I had no idea what I was getting myself into with any of these people on this weekend. And met the lads, went for a few drinks, and we were with Steve's brother, sitting at the bar having a chat, and we were just all having a good laugh. And Steve's brother was like, "You lads need to start a podcast together." He was like, "I'm just listening to this as a fan," and he was like, "I'd love to kind of have this as a format." And we were like, "I don't know, would people want to watch it and shit?" So we just said, "Fuck it, let's try a few episodes." And the first few episodes are very DIY. We were just getting on and yapping about shit, and yeah, it's become a pretty fun little side project for all of us. We kind of had a big break with the George Lever episode that got like 125,000 views. That is the Sleep Token. He's the guy who produced Sleep Token's Sundowning and This Place Will Become Your Tomb, the initial albums before they blew up. So he produced those two albums. And he'd never done any like kind of speaking publicly about Sleep Token because obviously the whole, the Masks identity and stuff. So we got him on, and he was obviously he's not involved in the project anymore. It was just it was the perfect storm because it was around the time that Sleep Token's new album was coming out, even in Arcadia. So there was loads of hype around the band. And then we got him on, I think like the week of the album release, and he gave his opinions on the album. So it was like a completely unique perspective on the ex-producer talking about the new direction after the band blew up. Wow. So that video just went fucking mental. And that got us a lot of subscribers, which goes back to we have a massive Sleep Token subscriber base that will still enjoy our content, but we don't want to like pigeonhole ourselves too deep into this world of like only being a Sleep Token podcast, you know?
And on that topic, then you have branched, let's just say not too far away from Sleep Token, but you've touched on President, which isn't let's say for an Irish saying, a kick in the arse away from Sleep Token. Similar producer, same management, I believe.
Same manager. Can you still hear me, by the way, boys? I'm going to start knocking my whole
setup off. No, all good.
Okay, yeah, we're good. I got worried there. So the President thing. Sorry, go ahead. I'm after derailing you there.
Yeah, no. I was just saying that you have touched. I don't know if you did it on the Metal Roundup, but you've definitely done it on your own channel, President, which is. It seems to be a similar fan base, very protective, very niche, and very gatekeeping. And I did notice that on one of your videos, you didn't give it one of the songs. You give an honest opinion from yourself, and I tend to agree with one of them that it's not fantastic. Yeah. And I'm wondering, how was the comments on that, or how did the views go on? Did it go up? Did it go down? Or
I'm just
trying to think what track it was that it was the kind of more
was it Rage? Was it Rage or something like that? To be honest, they're all fucking very similar, aren't they? There's not a lot of deviation. Rage is probably the most unique one. What do you think of them, Luke? Let's get Luke involved here. What's your take on President?
I can't give you a take. I haven't listened to them.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
What I've listened to.
I don't think it'll be your cup of tea, Luke.
Yeah, something very small from what you had sent me, Gavin, briefly.
Yeah.
And I remember just it hitting, and I skipped through it briefly. I'm like, I have a lot on. I'm like, this isn't my cup of tea. And I knew the form I was in. I'm gonna find something not to like with this. So I'm just gonna leave it for today.
Leave it there. You two fellas need to do back to back. Even in Arcadia for Sleep Token, and then the President's EP back to back, and that will get the fucking channel flying. Just terrible reviews, negative.
That's
reviews
what we should do, because you'll be positive, I'll be crazy negative.
I'm like one of our friends was just at Sleep Token in Detroit the past weekend. Shep
was at it.
Yeah. And she got the front pit ticket, and she's been keeping an eye on the prices on Viagogo or one of them.
Sure.
That's actually very, very entertaining as well to see the story updates.
Yeah, but the price went from like $900 to $800 to $600.
Like $350, wasn't it?
She got it for $350, I believe. Yeah, and I messaged her and I said, you got to come on and give me a rundown on the show. She goes, yeah, 100%. But she says, I'm going to Judas Priest tonight. So I'm like, all right.
She's busy. She's doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, she loves her music. But yeah, she said that it was amazing. I do think that Eden in Arcadia, is that right?
Even in Arcadia, yeah.
Even in Arcadia. I thought that was brilliant. It's heavily produced. It's heavily, it is what it is. I will say one thing, and I'm probably going to get shit for it. I do believe, and I have tickets to it, Drew. I told you that I'm going to president.
Yeah.
I do believe that they are a product of the industry, like just dropped in kind of, this is a finished product. Go evolve on TikTok, and
This is for president or Sleep Token now, is it?
I think more so for president.
Okay, I thought you were going with Sleep Token. I was like, oh, we're gonna have a falling out here, Gavin.
No. I think president were like the stepbrother.
I'd agree with you. And I wasn't gonna look. I'm not one of these people that will get.
No, be honest, dude. Be honest.
No. Like generally,
president or a psyop. That's what we're gonna say there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen fucking crazier conspiracies, but look, I understand the
and I think Charlie's a brilliant singer.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard to. I think the popularity does not match the music, if that makes sense. Like the popularity, the rise to fame,
it's insane.
Like they've got like over 1 million monthly listeners now on Spotify off 6 songs, which is fucking like bands working their entire existence for anywhere near that. But you can't discredit or blame president for that. Like that isn't so. Let's remove ourselves from that. You can't blame a band for being popular. Like it's just something you can't do. You can critique the musical side of things and argue that they don't deserve it, which I would agree. But as I'm sure you are both aware, music today, not just in the metal world, isn't necessarily just about the music. It's about how it's packaged. That is massive. It's so competitive.
Marketing. It's 100% marketing.
It's all marketing.
Every world is almost combined into this like everything is kind of like the way in which YouTube has been for years. Like music is the same way as it's not because it's like, oh, it's just because everything has gotten so competitive. Everyone has such easy access to music. All the tools are making it very easy to just create music. It's the same with content creation. Everyone has a camera on their phone. Most people don't need a microphone because they have a microphone in their phone. You can do reaction videos very easily. So the barrier to entry is very low for a lot of these things. So the competition is so high. So the packaging, similar to the way we spoke about with YouTube, with the thumbnails and the titling, it's just kind of a part of it now that you have to do. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind unless the music is absolutely undeniable. But even at that, even if it's undeniable, you still need to be pushed somehow.
Yeah.
So I can't discredit president for being popular, but I do agree that could be any band that exists in the modern metal landscape, in the modern metalcore landscape. I also think that the other side of it is the vocal production that they're obviously using is a stylistic approach. I'd be interested to see if that's something they continue with on the next EP or album or whatever they decide to do next. Because obviously the first kind of era of the band is now concluded with the first EP being out. And I think it's getting pretty scathing reviews for the most part by a lot of people. Now, it's hard to decipher what is just people like, your stereotypical, old school gatekeeper metalheads that are just so pissed off with something new.
Yeah.
But what is also fair criticism as well. And I think there's not a lot of nuance with the president conversation. It's either like, he's the best thing in the world, which it's not. And then it's the worst thing that's ever been made, which it also isn't. There's a middle ground there.
I agree. And I think myself and Luke would definitely be open. Like we said earlier, I personally would listen to everything from Dr. Dre to trance music to Metallica to Slipknot to Cream to Pearl Jam.
It's the best way to be, man. It's the best. Why would you want to limit yourself?
Exactly. And that's why I feel like I found myself listening to the EP, but I, in the back of my head, I'm like, how did they sell out this European? Okay, they're not huge venues, but it's like, and then on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? In today's world, they played their damn cards right.
Exactly. That's
it. It's all marketing, and by the sounds of it, from what I'm listening to, it's like getting a bottle of perfume that was bought in Mary Street, presented in a Dior bag.
That is a fucking brilliant way of describing it, and you've nailed it with that one.
It's all packaging, it's all marketing. You sell that product, the bag looks good, you got a big enough bow on it, and it doesn't really matter what's inside the box.
Yeah. Before
Dead
we,
right. I'm stealing that one, Luke. That's a cracker.
before we
God.
finish up, Drew, I'd like to pick your brains quickly
Sure.
on TikTok.
Okay. Hit
Do
me.
you still, obviously you do, but were you ever, did you ever feel threatened, let's just say, by, oh, damn, YouTube's gone, TikTok's going to just take over here?
No, I definitely missed the boat a little bit with TikTok, and I'm kind of I'm following suit now with. I made a bit of a decision at the start of January. I did resent the short form content for a while. I'm always been a long form guy, but it's just about evolving, man. And again, it's just one of these kind of undeniable phenomenons that's coming around over the last few years, where short form content has just taken over everywhere. And I think the turning point for me was like when YouTube Shorts came in, where I was like, okay, now YouTube are doing it. It's kind of like one of these things that this isn't going anywhere anytime soon,
Yeah.
So
even like your Twitch though, like I found, like I'm almost 40, and I found myself, I started a TikTok thing for a channel now. There's 200 followers or something. So if you're on TikTok, give us a follow.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I found myself so intrigued by people live streaming, and it's the most random stuff.
Yeah.
Like I found myself watching a guy golfing in Mulranny, live streaming, and people are throwing money at him. I'm like, what is going on?
Man, it's the brain rot, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just death scrolling, doom scrolling.
No, but fair enough about that. But people are engaging and sending gifts.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm too old.
I don't fully understand the TikTok live streaming thing, because again, it is like it's not necessarily low effort, but it's just like picking up your phone and just like, hey, I'm like a lot of it is doom scrolly stuff, especially on the TikTok live, because it's like, just someone sitting there yapping away, and there's no like actual context to what they're talking about. It's just some bloke who happens to have made a load of random videos on TikTok that is 100%. Now chatting to his couple of 100,000 followers. But like I'm not opposed to the platforms. I use them as a tool to get people to come over to my YouTube channel. That's about it. Like, it is in and of itself like its own entity for me now at this point. Like they've become their own kind of things in terms of like the business side of things, because they've grown to a level where it's like they're literally their own entities. They were initially there for me to just be this thing that funneled people hopefully into, like, because the algorithms are crazy, as you know, and like I'm sure you've seen across TikTok and Instagram and stuff. It's like the views are fucking, it doesn't even feel like real people. You're like, what the how is this video getting 100,000 views, 200,000, a million views? You're like, what the fuck? Because if you start quantifying that amount of people, you're like, holy Jesus, that's a lot of people, whereas a YouTube video might get like a couple of thousand, and you're like, wow, that's mad. But then you start seeing the views on these short form platforms, and you're like, but to tie a ball to back into it, I'd rather have 1,000 genuine fucking loyal people that are going to watch every video on YouTube than literally a million people on TikTok that are going to watch every single video, because it's 20 seconds. You can't possibly get your actual personality across for people to resonate and want to reach into their pocket and say, okay, look, I want to support this guy on Patreon, and I want to go and subscribe to him, and I want to be a part of his community, because people just don't have the time to get to know you. So I think it's definitely a lot easier to come from the YouTube world to go to TikTok, because you're just basically cutting down your content that you've already made for a longer form. Yeah. But you can see a lot of the people that are like exclusively TikTokers that started trying to do it the reverse way now. And it's like, because there's no money to be made really, unless you're really, really big in like in America and shit, and some parts of the UK
TikTok
where
shop and
you can make money off like big brand deals, and you can get cool like freebies and shit, but you're not really making like a consistent income off it in that way. There is outliers, of course, but you see them trying to then go over to YouTube, and they just don't have it, they don't have the same kind of because once it goes to long form, it's like, oh, I have to fill this 10 minutes of silence now. It's not just like, hey guys, I'm here for 20 seconds and then gone. So it's a phenomenon. It's a tool. It's a tool. Like I'm not going to look at it and be like, no, that's too. No, I'm not doing that. That's all the new kids and the young people are doing it. It's a tool for YouTube,
It's definitely easier to be like a digital content prostitute on TikTok than it is on YouTube,
The fucking one-liners you're having, sir. Oh God. But it's like, look at how you consume content on
You're enjoying that one, Gavin.
Digital content prostitute.
I love it. That's a thumbnail there.
Yeah, Jesus.
AI let's get it going.
Fucking hell. But it's like, just look, examine yourself and how you consume content when you're on different short form platforms is a good way to kind of learn how to make, like, I analyze videos that I'm watching and I use that to kind of cater to to improve my own content, because you're looking at it like, what am I not enjoying about this? If I'm watching someone on YouTube, I'm like, what is annoying me about this guy, so I can avoid. Like, you have to literally be, you do have to be like that. Obviously,
yeah.
Some people just defy all of the tropes of what it takes to be like a quote unquote good YouTuber. Some people are just naturally funny, where they can do whatever the fuck it is and it's just hilarious, and that's it. That's their thing. But there is like certain things that people just drag on. And like, I'm saying this as the biggest fucking yapper ever. Like, my videos go on for far too long, far longer than they need to. But I guess it's again, it comes back to if you're just enjoying it. But yeah, it's like on TikTok, I examine me watching shit and I'm like, I'm scrolling for fucking milliseconds when I'm going through these. So it's like, that's what people are doing to your video.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, I don't really want that audience, because at the most they're going to watch 20 seconds. But
yeah,
you might get the person that goes, oh, fuck, okay, this guy's doing this, let's go to his YouTube. That's what I want. So
yes,
that's where it's good.
100%. 100%. So looking ahead then, Drew, what can we look forward to you kind of getting your teeth into? What albums are kind of on the menu? What can we expect on your channel?
Jesus. October is going to be a very exciting month for a lot of the releases that would be in my wheelhouse. I don't know if you are listening to Orbit Culture by any chance. Are you familiar with the band?
No,
I haven't heard
it's funny. That's actually that's a funny one that they've come up. We'll give you some homework for tonight, lads. All right. So Orbit Culture is a band that I think is a very it's extreme. All right. It's their producer and mixing engineer is a man called Buster Odahome. Okay. He is from Sweden. And have you guys heard of Thal music by any chance?
Oh,
no.
It's okay. This like the gent phenomenon that is like, is it a genre? Is it just a sound? This whole thing?
Yes.
Thal is kind of like the evolution of what gent is. Okay. Thal, it's kind of like an onomatopoeia of like gent is kind of like, it sounds like gent. That's, I guess, where the name could arguably come from. But Thal is kind of in the same sense that it's very focused on atmosphere and the strings. It's very low tune. Everything's very low tune, very modern. A lot of like bends and the guitar, like meow, meow, a lot of that in the music. Buster Odahome kind of created. He's one of the men that was involved in creating this. Kind of started out as like a meme, but it's very popular amongst like a lot of modern metalcore bands, where like metalcore bands will be incorporating this Thal sound. You kind of have to hear it to understand what I'm talking about, but that's kind of like the new wave that's coming through, or has been coming through for the last couple of years. But Buster Odahome is one of the guys that kind of was a part of that wave, and he's a fucking fantastic producer. He's very known for his mixes where it's almost like an EDM mix. It's very hard hitting drums, very punchy, very abrasive stuff, low tune guitars. Everything is like almost fucking peaking to an absolute maximum. I'm not selling it very well here, but anyway,
he's
the producer and mixing engineer of this band Orbit Culture, who are described by a lot of people as kind of like the next wave of metal, because their vocalist has massive James Hetfield inspirations. He has moments now, as I'm sure diehard Metallica fans like yourselves, you might be reluctant to accept that. Maybe you'll see it differently, but in his singing voice, in his clean singing, he does have that kind of James Hetfield approach to it. You can hear it in the singing that he's very inspired by him. But the rest of the song, the instruments around that are very relentless, like very heavy. So I kind of see them as like to like really simplify it in a funny way. It's kind of like, from what I've heard, they're like a modern Metallica, but it's like modern to the actual extreme, because they have one of the kind of like most sought after modern producers involved. So he's doing a lot of that fun stuff. So look, I don't know if it'll be up your street, but it's definitely, I would start with a song called The Tales of War. That is the song that I was introduced to them by, and it's just a fucking, it's like modern metal thrash with just the most extreme shit. It's a bit mad. So look, give it a go. Let me know what you think.
Definitely,
that's an album. Their album's coming out in October, so that's why I was leading to that. There's some fucking great albums. There's an Unprocessed album that's coming out. They're like progressive fucking, I don't even know. They're kind of a prog band. They sound, are you familiar with Polyphia?
Polyphia.
I know the name, but
Yeah, they're kind of like guitar virtuosos. I'm not mad into them, but in process, kind of make them a little bit more prog, and they have a little bit more of a heavier edge to it. So they're
Right.
brilliant as well. They've got an album coming out. There's loads of fun albums coming out in October. So I'll be kept busy with that stuff. As for myself personally, the channel's doing well at the moment, so just gonna keep riding the wave again. Not getting too low when the channel dips back down again, and not getting too high when the channel
Yeah.
gets fucking does amazing. And working on the podcast, the Metal Roundup, and hopefully get to a few gigs soon as well. I'm hoping to go to Download next year because I missed it there last year with the lads,
Nice.
so that was unfortunate. But yeah, man, I think that's about it.
Yeah, the last heavy show I was at was Kubla Khan in the Academy.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to that, but sure, that was a fun one.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was
Yeah, barking
You're
and all
still
that shit,
recovering.
wasn't he? Fucking hoo hoo.
Oh yeah,
He's a madman.
He's
Mad
brilliant.
honeycomb.
Yeah, we got to have a
Yeah.
quick chat with him. Will we finish up with a few question time? I'm going to hit you with a few questions, just a quick fire answer.
Hit me.
Don't dwell on it too long. But before,
Sure.
yeah, thanks so much. That was really interesting, man. I had a blast there. I think people getting into YouTube have learned a lot from you there. So
Hopefully, man.
I have.
Yeah,
It's been
for
a pleasure,
sure.
boys, and I really appreciate you having me. Look, at any time, just shoot me a message. It's you're on Irish time as well, so it's easy to
Yeah,
kind of put
it's
something
a big-
together. A lot of the time, it's trying to work something out with like Canadian or US
I
time.
know.
So
I know.
yeah, absolutely. Whenever you just fucking want me on again, lads, just fire
Cool.
a message, and I'll be happy to jump on and have a chat.
Cool, man. So, right, the first album that you ever bought with your own money.
Oh, I only was talking about this recently. I believe it was Altered State by Tesseract. I have it in this pile here somewhere. That's actually there, the big fat one. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit dark,
Nice.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So Tesseract.
First gig you ever went to?
Jesus. Metal music specifically.
Whatever, the first one you ever.
I wouldn't. I don't know why I asked that because I most certainly don't remember my first gig. First metal show was, I think, Slipknot in the Three Arena like 5 years ago.
Nice.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
like that.
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did a
that
video
one.
for that.
Gavin was
actually,
at that one.
Yeah. That was my
That was
first one.
so loud, that one. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that was good crack. Yeah. So that was my introduction to the live world of metal. So
And Luke, jump in if you have one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since you've started the metal podcast, Drew,
yeah.
and you spoke about Tool earlier, so I'm intrigued to know, what would you rate as your top 3 metal gigs you've been to?
Ooh.
This will be funny if some of the lads are listening to this because I've notoriously not been to a fucking lot of metal gigs. As you know, with Ireland, we're not exactly spoiled with a lot of the bands that I listen to, but I'm gonna end up forgetting some now. I think Meshuggah is hard to beat.
Ah, yeah, let's go.
Meshuggah, when they played in the Olympia, I actually got to watch them sound check as well. Their lighting tech got onto me. He watched the channel, which was fucking madness, and he messaged me saying they were playing in Dublin, and he got me down for the day
Wow.
beforehand, and he kind of brought me around, and I was holding the fucking 8-string guitars and shit. It was madness. So I got to see them sound check.
Wow.
I did a video for that as well. I have some fun clips in that, but that was probably hard to beat. That's number one, I'd say. Jesus, I'm gonna fucking forget something. It's there's one I know I'm forgetting. The Tesseracts were brilliant as well in Dublin. Fantastic. One of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band. Sleep Token in the Wembley Arena. Polaris were brilliant when they came to Dublin. Yeah, I'll go with them. I know I'm forgetting one, but it is what it is.
Did you see Tool live?
I haven't. It was in the earlier days when I was not in a financial situation to be forking out whatever the fucking ticket prices were at the time. It was 400 quid or something like that for a 3 Arena gig. I was like, right, you having a laugh. But knowing Tool, my dad at the time was telling me I'm an awful man for not going to gigs when they arise. So I'm just like, and then I regret it after the fact. So I need to just start fucking buying the ticket and going. But yeah, I didn't go to the Tool gig. I'd only been getting into them at the time when they showed up in Dublin. So I didn't go to that, but I'd be fucking dying to go and see them now because, as you know, they don't exactly love releasing music or showing up in Ireland. So.
Yeah. An album that you think everyone should listen to at least once in their life?
Good question, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I mean, it's a fucking classic album. It's a gimmicky. It's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's the answer for a reason. It's a fucking cracking album.
Cool.
Yeah.
If you could swap places with any musician for one night, who would it be?
Jesus. Who's the most single and handsome metal musician?
The Vessel, but we don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, well, no one knows what he looks like. Yeah. But maybe Vessel, yeah, just because I've been following the band for so long and seeing them go through the whole like growth period. I think that'd be pretty cool experience to be him for a night, you know.
Vinyl or CD?
Oh, vinyl, yeah.
Cool. Let me see. An album you think is underrated and deserves way more love?
An album I think is underrated. Oh God. There's no such thing as quick fire questions with me, I'll tell you that much. Jesus. An album I think is underrated.
Can I actually answer my own question?
Go for it, yeah, absolutely. Because I need fucking time to think here.
Toxicity by System of a Down.
I don't think I've even heard that album. I'm showing
oh my God. I went back to listen to them because I grew up with that. I remember when Toxicity came out, I was doing I think I was in fifth year and I went to Paris with the school and the CD got stuck in the bus and it played for a week solid and I was sick of it. But I really re-listened to it recently because of the tour and I swear to God, Rick Rubin produced it. I think there's elements of, okay, it aged a little bit, like Limp Bizkit. I know you touched on the new Limp Bizkit song as well. But there is some fucking serious songs on that album.
Yeah.
Go and listen to it. You should do it. Band,
yeah,
I'd love to see. I'm going to give
that'd be a great review. Yeah.
I'm giving you homework now, Drew. I'd love to. I'm not going to tell you I want to see. I would love to see review.
It's definitely something, man. Like I love the doing the deep dives of the older bands because it's like it's just a gold mine of content, you know. Because even if I don't really love it, it's still very topical and it's easy to be like, oh my God, this is why this band sounds like this because this fucking inspired it like 20 years ago, whatever it is. You know, it's nice to kind of do the opposite way that a lot of people have done their
especially with the tour and that, it's probably back relevant as ever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, the Limp Bizkit fucking, the new Limp Bizkit track was great. I think I listened to their last album from 2021 or whatever it was, and I didn't love it. But there's something about this one that's just so full of character, you know. But a lot of the diehard fans are saying that it's kind of just like run of the mill Limp Bizkit. They've been doing it for years, but because I haven't had that massive exposure, this one just clicked with me a little bit more. I was like, yeah, this is sick.
And not so much with me. And we did, Luke. Me and you went to see them.
Yes,
in Belfast, and we more so went for Tom Morello. But Limp Bizkit fucking blew us away, and we've been doing kind of show recaps at the Metallica tour in North America, and Limp Bizkit, of course, one of the supporters. And everybody we chatted to, Luke, they said, who was the most, surprising support band? It's like
Limp Bizkit. Yeah, they were happy to see them. The people who went multiple times were even happy to be there to see them again.
Yeah, they kind of knew their place. They knew that they were kind of nostalgic, and people's kind of transforming back into that, teenager and, bouncing around. But it's good to see, man. It's good to see.
Absolutely, yeah. It seems to be metal's in a very good place at the moment. There's a nice balance of some of the older bands that are maybe didn't get a lot of their flowers for years that are starting to get them, and then there's also a resurgence or a massive, a lot of bands that are new coming onto the scene, like your Sleep Tokens and Bring Me the Horizons and Bad Omens, and a lot of these bands that are coming through that are picking up a lot of steam. And you're seeing it now with a lot of, like, because I've got my ear to the ground with a lot of the much smaller bands, you're seeing the spillover from the Sleep Token-esque bands that are now coming into the scene, and people are fucking loving it. And it's just getting more and more people into the scene, which is ultimately just fucking great to see, especially if I take just the love of the music out of it and I look at it from like, this is my job, it's great. Like, the more people that are listening to the music as well, it helps me to grow my channel and all that kind of stuff. So, it's a very exciting time to be a part of it all,
Yeah, no. Drew, it's been an absolute blast. I think Luke's having some trouble. I think is something died.
He's sick of me fucking yapping is what he did.
Not at all.
This fella's gone.
Man, that was a blast. I really felt so comfortable. I felt like we were just sitting in the pub having a beer, shooting
Absolutely,
the shit.
Man. No, that's why I wanted to jump on, because I knew with two Irish lads it would be a very easy chat. We're all very similar, cut from the same cloth. So
exactly. And one last thing I'll finish on. The Irish scene, I think, at the minute is thriving too, which is great. Yeah. Like the Siege of Limerick is coming up now with some killer bands heading that way. I know you've chatted to some of the bands, the Irish bands, but yeah, it's great to see. I know there's a band up beside us here called Words That Burn that I really love them. I don't know if you've ever checked them out. Really cool stuff.
Sorry, yeah, I'm not in the loop at all with the Irish scene. It's not anything to do with like resentment or anything like that. It's just there hasn't been any band that's been put in front of me that has really won me over. Like I don't give a fuck where the fuck in the world you're from. If the music is good and I'm into it, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
I've heard a couple of fun tracks from a band called Idle Discourse.
Oh yes.
Shout it out to Donal and Craig. We've had them on.
Yeah, I actually used to work before I went full time. I worked with Lorcan's girlfriend. I think he's one of the guitarists.
Yes.
I think but anyway, I worked. It was just funny. It was the whole. It was just Ireland is just so small, as you know. Like it's like I remember I was in work and we were chatting away to his girlfriend. I didn't know anything about him being in the band, and then we ended up getting chatting. He was like, "Oh, he loves this band as well." And then I was like, "No way!" And then I ended up listening to the song and that they did a while back, and yeah, fucking cool band, man. They're a lot of fun. So I think they're very good live as well. So it's one of those bands, and I'm sure there's many of them kind of bubbling under the surface that will eventually, one of them will fucking take off, and once one does, it's going to bring a lot of people with them, you know. So
100%.
I think Words That Burn's last album, Drew, would pique your interest, as I see you wearing a Lorna Shore t-shirt.
Yeah.
And the producer for Lorna Shore had worked with Words That Burn for their last album.
Yeah, over in Italy, wasn't it?
If you enjoy their stuff, you might find
I'll be fully transparent with you lads. I got sent this today. I'm not the biggest Lorna Shore fan in the world. Like they're not my normal cup of tea. And full transparency, I did get sent this as a freebie. Shout out to the fucking label sending me that. But I am not like massively
I
into
love
their
that.
music. I was like, I didn't have any fucking clothes today. I was like, I'll just throw this on. But
yeah, everything's in the wash.
They're a fun band. They are a fun band. They're just not really my cup of tea. Like I'm not like this massive, because I know some people from my Discord or whatever will probably watch this and be like, look at you pretending to be a Lorna Shore fan. So I'm taking myself off the hook with that one, you know. But
I just want to a word of promotion. Please subscribe to Drew's Patreon so he can buy some new clothes and that he doesn't have to wait until Christmas for the annual delivery of socks and boxers.
And Links Africa.
Oh, God,
public service announcement. Subscribe to Drew's Patreon.
Yes,
please. Look, I'll take it. I'll take the plug, you know.
100%. No, definitely. If you enjoyed this podcast, seriously, Drew's channel is fantastic. Go check it out. We'll put all the links down below. His Patreon, all that stuff. Go check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. One day we hope to be as big as Drew. But we'll definitely have another chat down the line. Maybe catch a show or something together. Or maybe go for Dublin, man.
Absolutely. Next time you're in Dublin, lads, if there's any shows that have caught your interest, just fucking send me a text. Let me know if I'm there. We meet up and have a chat and have a few points, and we'll shoot the shit.
Absolutely, man. We'll leave it at that. Thanks a million, Drew.
Legends, lads. Appreciate it. Right.
All right. Thank you, man.
Have a good one.